Alright, back with chapter 26. Talking about David spares Saul's life again. It says this. Then the Ziphites came to Saul at Gibeah, saying, "Is not David hiding himself on the hill of Hachilah, which is on the east of Jeshimon?" So Saul rose and went down to the wilderness of Ziph with 3,000 chosen men of Israel to seek David in the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul encamped on the hill of Hachilah, which is beside the road on the east of Jeshimon. But David remained in the wilderness. When he saw that Saul came after him in the wilderness, David sent out spies and learned that Saul had come. Then David arose and came into that place where Saul had encamped. And David saw the place where Saul lay with Abner the son of Ner, the commander of his army. Saul was lying within the encampment while the army was encamped around him. Then David said to Amalek the Hittite, that Job's brother Abishai the son of Zariah, who will go down with me into the camp of Saul. And Abishai said, "I will go down with you." So David and Abishai went to the army by night, and there lay Saul sleeping within the encampment, and with his spear stuck in the ground at his head. And Abner, the army, lay around him. Then Abishai to David. Then said Abishai to David, "God has given your enemy into your hand this day. Now please let me pin him to the earth with one stroke of the spear, and I will not strike him twice." But David said to Abishai, "Do not destroy him, for who can put out his hand against the Lord's anointed and be guiltless?" And David said, "As the Lord lives, the Lord will strike him, or his day will come to die, or he will go down to battle and perish. The Lord forbid that I should put my hand against the Lord's anointed. But take now the spear that is at the head and the jar of water, and let us go." So David took the spear and the jar of water from Saul's head, and they went away. No man saw it or knew it, nor did any awake, for they were all asleep, because a deep sleep from the Lord had fallen upon them. See, there's another example of God protecting David. God, for David to go in there and take Saul's spear and Saul's water, and all that, God sent a deep sleep upon the army for them to fall asleep, so that David could go in there and take Saul's spear and Saul's water jar. And that's just another example of God protecting his children. So, so then David went over to the other side and stood afar off from the top of the hill with a great space between them. And David called the army, and Abner the son of Ner, saying, "Will you not answer, Abner?" Then Abner answered, Who are you who calls to the king?" And David said to Abner, "Are you not a man? Who is like you in Israel? Why then have you not kept watch over your lord the king? For one of the people came in to destroy the king your lord. This thing that you have done is not good, and as the Lord lives, you deserve to die, because you have not kept watch over your lord, the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spear is in the jar of water that was at his head." Saul recognized David's voice and said, "Is this your voice, my son David?" And David said, "It is my voice, my lord, O king." And he said, "Why does my lord pursue after his servant? For what have I done? What evil is on my hands? Now therefore let my lord the king hear the words of the servant. If it is the Lord who has stirred you up against me, may he accept an offering. But if it is men, may they be cursed before the Lord. For they have driven me out this day, that I should have no share in the heritage of the Lord, saying, Go serve other gods. Now therefore let not my blood fall to the earth away from the presence of the Lord. For the king of Israel has come out to seek a single flea, like one who hunts a partridge in the mountains." Then Saul said, "I have sinned. Return, my son David, for I will no more do you harm, because my life was precious in your eyes this day. Behold, I have acted foolishly, and have made a great mistake." And David answered and said, "Here is a spear, O king. Let one of your young men come over and take it. The Lord rewards every man for his righteousness and his faithfulness. For the Lord gave you into my hand today, and I would not put out my hand against the Lord's anointed. Behold, as your life was precious this day in my sight, so may my life be precious in the sight of the Lord, and may he deliver me out of all the tribulation." Then Saul said to David, "Blessed be you, my son David. You will do many things, and will succeed in them." So David went his way, and Saul returned to his place. So basically, this chapter sums up David spares Saul's life again by going. First of all, God sent a deep sleep to come over the army, and then David went inside Saul's camp, and he went there and took a spear, took his water jar, and left. And he called out from the mountain, and David was like, he called out. Saul recognized his voice, and David was like to Saul's army. He was saying, "You're supposed to be protecting the king," and they didn't know what he's talking about. And then he says, "Go look for Saul's spear. Go look for his water jar where they couldn't find it." And then David showed them that he took the spear in the water jar. And David could have killed Saul right there, but he didn't, because David knew that Saul was God's anointed, so he did not dare kill Saul. But here's another example of David could have very well killed Saul, but David knew that Saul was God's anointed, so David wouldn't dare kill God's anointed, because he knew if he did that, God would seek vengeance upon him. So that's again kind of like, don't come against God's children, just don't do it. Don't you dare come against God's children, because if you do, God will send His vengeance upon you. This is like He did in chapter before, chapter 24, or 25 about Abigail and Nabal. Anyway, that's chapter 26 about David spares Saul's life again. And I'll be right about chapter 27 here in a few.